do the layered cross, but I feel like it looks effeminate.
It does. Like, not necessarily on you, but it's
Oh, it looks okay on me.
the corner cross.
But I feel weird sitting like this unless I'm at the edge of my seat. Like
when you sit like that, you put your hands there.
Is that the corner
means,
cross? Is that what you're talking about?
No, this is corner cross.
Okay.
That's layered cross. See, corner cross.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's wrong with that? You can't do that? Big thighs.
I got big old
Hey,
thighs.
friends, welcome to another edition of All the Best Words. My name is Matt Murphy, and I say all the best words.
My name's Cameron Smith. I write all the best words.
Together, it's all the best words.
I know words. I have the best words.
This is All the Best Words with Matt Murphy and Cameron Smith.
I also think that White Sox might have been a poor choice. What do you think?
Red Sox. It's very exciting.
Anyway, hey, Cameron.
Hi, Matt.
How are you?
I'm excellent.
Good. I'm glad to hear it. So this is all the best words. You guys know the drill. Cameron brings a word. I bring the word. And we discuss those words that we bring. We don't know what I don't know what Cameron's word's going to be. Do you know what my word's going to be?
Not right now.
No. Okay. Well, very good. That's the way that works. Who wants to go first?
I can go first.
I think you should.
So I couldn't help but notice in the headlines that the word woman has yet reared its head again, because I know it's 2025 and we seem very, very confused about what a woman is and isn't. Well, the United Kingdom.
Hold on a second. I'm not a biologist.
You're not a biologist. I understand. There's paperwork, declarations, all sorts of things that happen out there. So you never know what you're dealing with. The United Kingdom Supreme Court knows what they're dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
When it came to applying their equality law, it's literally an equality law, they determined that biological sex is the definition of a woman. And that there's paperwork you can fill out, you can identify as whatever you want, but for the purposes of the law in the United Kingdom, a woman is aligned with biological sex. And that is a massive ruling in the UK. And frankly, the Trump administration has echoed that same sentiment. It, for most of us, is not that controversial. It does not require you to be mean-spirited or hateful to folks that identify as something other than their gender. But for a country like the United Kingdom to say, this is a matter of reality, and we want our laws, specifically those laws protecting women, creating privacy in certain spaces for women, like locker rooms, changing rooms, that sort of thing. This is a big deal.
No, it is, and I agree with you. And I saw that story, and I found myself oddly proud of England, because you watch some of the things that are going on over there, and
right.
You fear that some of those things are headed across the pond to the United States of America. Some of the things, like I saw a video last week. It's a little bit unrelated, but I think you'll get the gist. Saw a video last week of a police officer responding to a disturbance where the police had been called to the scene of a restaurant, and one of the patrons at the restaurant had asked someone, and I'm assuming it was an employee of the restaurant, do you speak English? Because they could not understand what the person was saying. And the police officer was explaining in England that asking someone if they speak English could be considered a hate crime under the law. And the guy's like, what are you talking about? And he goes, no. If it is meant in the improper context. So that's how kind of woke some of their laws have become. So it's nice to see the Supreme Court is willing to say, hold on a second. For the purposes of the law, we have to define these things. We have to figure these things out. And society is set up a certain way. And that's what fascinates me about, people that are genuinely gender dysphoric or are genuinely confused. I want those people to be as peaceful as possible. I want them to lead peaceful lives. But they have to recognize that society is not necessarily set up for them. And we set up gender-based spaces for legitimate purposes.
Right.
And for you, if you might have to make certain accommodations based on the fact that you are a very, very small minority of the population.
Yeah, and I think that goes back to the point of it's okay to have emotions. It's okay to have feelings. But the moment that you say, my feelings trump reality, that my desire to be treated a certain way requires you to bend your understanding of reality itself, that's a problem. And I've long argued that these issues in the United States are a free speech issue because you may be free to identify as whatever you please. I should be free to disagree with that and address you however I see fit. Now, I don't want to be a jerk. I want to treat everybody with dignity and respect.
Yeah.
But that's a mutual, there's a reciprocity there. That's I treat you with respect, you treat me with respect. And if you're trying to commandeer my speech and tell me how I have to feel about something like gender, then you're not about liberty. You're not about my freedom of speech. And that, I think, is what's concerning. And so to see the UK say, you know what, this is reality.
Well, and we've lost. I used to say for a long time on the radio show that you couldn't offend me if you tried because I don't give you the power to offend me.
Right.
Because that's giving emotional power over another person. But I think a lot of people in that space, whether they are or think they are transgender, whether they are or think they are gender dysphoric, they've now decided that they get to use the language as a bludgeon against other people and prevent you from, saying what you'd like to say about the subject matter. And they get the ability to walk away from you and not associate with you if they so desire. I mean, that's what it ought to be about. When you're dealing with a group of people that can't define women or woman, then, you're probably not going to get very far along in the conversation. It's good to see that the UK can.
Yep. So, Matt, woman was my word. What's your word?
Well, Cameron, my word is it's a combo. We do combos on occasion. My words are space tourist.
Okay.
As opposed to astronaut, as opposed to crew, as opposed to any of the other identifiers used to describe something that happened last week, I'm going to go with space tourist. So if you've missed it, Jeff Bezos is doing his Blue Origin space travel flights. Elon Musk is not the only billionaire entrepreneur that's getting us back into space. And while Elon's getting a lot of attention with his SpaceX, Bezos is continuing his line of space tourism where he sends people up in his very, very phallic-shaped capsule, right?
Yes.
So last week, I guess it was, depending on when you watch this, we had a group of all women. So I find this interesting that your word was woman. It seems like we can easily define what a woman is and what a woman is not when it's convenient for the mainstream media. So I think it was 7 passengers.
Katy Perry was one of these, right?
Yes. Oprah Winfrey's great friend, Gayle King, who is also a commentator on CBS News in the mornings. Katy Perry, Bezos' fiancée. And it's my understanding that he spent all of this money just to get about 20 minutes of peace and quiet.
Oh, okay.
So, my goodness gracious, the media was treating this like it was Amelia Earhart. They were treating this like Charles Lindbergh had done a solo flight across the Atlantic Ocean. They called them, it's an all-female crew. Cameron, is it a crew if they don't do anything? Is it a crew if their entire job is to just sit there, don't touch anything, and don't die?
Well, Katy Perry has said that she is a firework, so that's probably works with rockets, right?
And the reaction by some of these folks, particularly King and Perry, Katy Perry came down, and maybe she was smoking the herb. I don't know. But she was like, all I know is that I'm full of love, and this experience was about love, and I love everybody, and there's so much love in the world. And I'm like, okay, we get it. It was all about love. I thought you went into space for 11 minutes, but whatever. And Gayle King somehow managed to compare herself to Alan Shepard, the first American man to orbit the Earth.
Well, same, really.
Or to go into space, I should say, not orbit the Earth.
On a lot of these things where we launch celebrities into space, I have no problem with very wealthy people deciding they want to go to outer space for a little while and boarding an exotic rocket. It's pretty cool.
That's cool. That's good. I'd do it.
Yeah, if somebody said, hey, here's a free trip to go up to space, I would not consider myself a crew member.
Nope.
I would consider myself a tourist or a passenger, if you will. But
a space tourist.
Right. And I think it's cool because I do think in our lifetime that the ability to board a rocket and travel well beyond our atmosphere is something that normal people may be able to do. Right now, it's pretty much limited to the ultra wealthy and folks who want to go up for a little bit and come back down.
I compared it the other day to one of these really, really massive big screen TVs. When one of these really massive, like flat screen, big screen TVs first came out like 15, 20 years ago, they're like $8,000.
Right.
You can now go to a box store and get one for like $500.
Right.
So I'm hoping that space tourism will go that direction, where now maybe it's $250,000 or $150,000, but eventually it'll get down to a price point where, average or, normal people can actually go. I was fascinated with the desire of the media to turn this into some sort of glass ceiling shattering event for women.
Well, they're just tired of talking about Trump the entire time.
Maybe.
And so this was like, hey, here's the thing that happened that we want to talk about. And again, I don't have a huge problem with folks talking about it, but it's not a full news cycle. It's some rich people went to space. They came back down.
Well,
yes.
and let's not quote like Martin Luther King and compare ourselves to these grand explorers. And let's not call ourselves a crew. I just feel like you have to have a task
well,
if you're a part of the crew.
that Katy Perry's task was love. And she's
Apparently it was.
and then the cold, dark void of space inspired love.
And I'll finish by saying that I don't know if you saw the quote, Gayle King, and she said, "I'm just so proud of me."
Well,
And I'm like, okay, maybe that's true because apparently she had some sort of fear of heights. Maybe that's true, and maybe you are. Don't necessarily think you need to say it out loud.
but it's entertaining.
It
and,
is.
We're out of space, out of time, but we have the best words.
We do have the best words. Join us next time. Like and subscribe. Give us the old thumbs up. It's All the Best Words with Cameron Smith and Matt Murphy.